3-year average. If you increased, census counts over, from prior years, it's really cost driven. And like I said, we do a 3-year average, so that way it's not just looking at 1 year as an outlier, and your costs over time, you have 1 year that's going to come off and 1 year that gets added into it. But the 3-year average, I think, is the biggest component that's going to drive that.
I know you represent the state, but would we have been better paying 25% of all those?
No, it's kind of hard to say.
Rather than going with just the
it's hard
Department
to
of Elderly Services?
it's hard to say because of how the costs in those other areas have also changed over time.
But I think Carroll County is growing in elderly people faster than any other county.
Yes, but one of the pieces that has also been growing exponentially has been the provider payments, which are the essentially Medicaid costs to elders in hospitals and physicians' offices and other settings other than nursing homes and home care. And that piece, again, you used to pay 25%.
For us too.
You used to pay 25% of that, and now you pay 0% of that, because that is one of the pieces that the state now pays all of the non-federal share of.
The other thing I do want to point out, because this is a question that generally I've been asked, I just had this question that came up from another county as well, is if we didn't pay the cap and we were just paying, actual claims that we were going through, would we have paid less? Because I think there's a misunderstanding or a misconception that the cap is somehow costing you more than if your actual claims were. And I just have the last few years in front of me, but if I look at the estimates right now for fiscal 12, based on actual payments so far through February, and if I kind of project out some of the outlying months here, your actual Medicaid cost would have been about $4.7 million. You're on the hook for only that 3.9. That's where that cap is coming in. This date, I don't think the details there. I kind of brought some detail with me, but what we've noticed is that at least the last years that I've been looking at, the total payments have always been higher than that county cap. So for example, we're projecting right now that the county cap is 97.5. The actual cost is going to probably run closer to 110 million. The state pays that difference. The county doesn't participate in that increase. I had 11 with me. I don't know if I brought it, but that's what we've been seeing. I had to do an analysis for another county for 11, and what we've recognized is that in 11 as well, the county cap amount was lower than what the state ultimately paid out for Medicaid claims. So we haven't, and I don't know if you maybe could talk on some history prior to that, but the cap really has been beneficial in that sense, in terms of the overall costs.
Okay, going back to the spreadsheet, essentially page 1 is the summary. The 4 remaining pages are backups of the specific calculations. Column A lists the counties. Column B lists the 3-year billing average percentage. Now that calculation is found on the second page. So column B is the calculation on page 2. Column C is basically the gross county obligation. That's essentially taking that 105 million and multiplying it by the percentage in column B. So that's just a mathematical calculation of how that 105 gets distributed based on column B. Okay, column D is the adjusted targeted credit, and that's a fairly intricate calculation. Pages 3 and 4 break out the mathematical subcomponents of that. So both of those pages come to how that 5 million gets calculated. And then column E is that additional credit that's applicable to 12, that 2.5 million. And that is broken out on page 5 as to the detail of that. And so essentially what column F is, that's another mathematical calculation. That's essentially taking column C and subtracting columns D and E. And so that's your cap, which in your case is $3,959,703.98. And then column G is just to show you what that percentage of column F breaks out to be among the 10 counties. And I can go into more detail on any of the backup pages if you want to go into more detail as to how any of those are done. But page 1 here gives you a pretty good overview of exactly what the different components are and how they work.
The only benefit that I see is that we're the lowest right now. But as our elderly gets older, that's probably going to change. And it'll change faster in our county than it will other counties.
Right, I think everything is in relation to the state, so you have to look at it as a little, yours may be growing. I don't have the specifics in terms of how does your rate compare to some of the others. I think that the ones that you really want to look at is the larger ones, your Hillsborough, Merrimack, Rockingham, because they have such a large portion of the pie.
Sure.
If yours and just Hillsborough were the only ones changing, you probably wouldn't see that much of a change in yours because theirs is also changing and they have such a large piece that you may not, your percentage of the total may not change as much. But if the larger ones are the ones that are staying kind of flat or their costs are going down, that's where that kind of the smaller people, the smaller counties are going to end up.
Well, even if our rate is increasing faster than other counties,
Correct.
that's going to have an effect
Yeah.
on us.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good explanation, I guess.
And do you have any other questions for us all at this point?
Have anything, Ashley?
No. It was a lot of information. Thank you very much.
I don't
Way
think
over
so.
here, is
Yeah.
it?
I'm working on it.
I understand part of it. I agree with you.
I think, if there's two takeaways, what I would leave you with. One being on the payments that you're able to receive from the state. I think the big things to look at in terms of the receiving side is that your rates are acuity adjusted. So as, Vice Chair Solomon, you had mentioned earlier, is that those that cost more are going to help with that reimbursement rate. So your mix of patients is really critical. So I think an acuity-based in terms of rate setting is key. And in addition to that, you have 2 supplemental type payments that come in, an MQIP and the ProShare. And the ProShare only counties benefit from, which is the difference between the Medicaid and Medicare portion. Go ahead.
It just occurs to me a question.
Yeah.
We also pay for, well, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Do we pay for our residents, our county residents, to another county if they are housing our people?
Yeah, that basically each
There you go.
county is responsible for their
Their
own
residents.
residents.
Right.
And so, yes, you do have some of that. A lot of times that'll happen in that even though someone may have resided in a county their entire life, their family may reside in another county, and so
Exactly.
they want to be in a nursing, their family wants them in a
Right.
nursing home closer to where their family members
Precisely.
are.
So does that
But-
help us or hurt us?
It depends on whether you have more people from outside other counties here or more of your people there. And it's not just the county facilities, it would be all facilities
Yes.
within
Yeah.
Yes.
that particular county.
I think in theory, because of the 3-year averaging and the cap, you're still paying that cap amount. So the mix of those residents sort of within that cap, you might take in another county person, they may have yours, but you're still responsible for that cap.
Yeah.
That's where the cap comes in.
Yeah, I don't think that's been specifically looked at
No.
in about 12 years. But going back then, because I was the one who actually
Yeah.
did that analysis, your county was pretty much close to a break even. Coas and Grafton were greatly hurt by that. Rockingham had the greatest benefit from that. But yours was close to a break even, that even though you're more of a north country, the nursing facilities in this county are very picturesque places, and the people seem to want to come here.
If we build it, they'll come.
So, but as I said, that was 12 years ago, but that was what it broke down to then. It was close to a break even for Carroll.
And how does, how does those residents, Carroll County residents, who are not in nursing homes, but in home care, how does this monies reflect, or do these monies reflect them?
So if they're not in a nursing
Right.
home, but
Right.
receiving a community-based
Exactly.
care,
Yeah.
you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the providers that are actually providing that service, they're the ones that would be reimbursed from the state
Well, not
for
from
the
the county.
cost. What's that?
Not from the county.
Not from the county. That would be, they would be basically a state Medicaid provider, but they're providing a community-based service as opposed to a nursing home service.
Mhm.
But they would be reimbursed from the state for their Medicaid rate for that specific service. But the
And
county
that was
is,
increased to try to keep people at home.
Yes, it's substantially cheaper to keep people in their own
Oh,
homes. And people
undoubtedly.
prefer to remain in their
Yeah.
own homes.
Undoubtedly.
And,
But there's always gonna be people that can't,
yes.
and that's where the nursing home.
I mean, the key is we want to care for people in the least restrictive setting, to give them
Yeah.
maximum community involvement, maximum
But
ability
you know,
to
one
stay
of the
home.
deficiencies that I've recognized, because we have a 93-year-old mother-in-law staying with us, they have no social life. In a nursing home, they at least have other people they eat with, dining with, that are the same age, may have the same hobbies and so forth that they can communicate with. But I know my mother-in-law doesn't have that social life.
I think there's that
So that's a
trade-off, yes.
deficiency.
Yeah. And I think that the other thing that we at the department are really trying to, I think, promote in the past and going forward is almost re-educating the family members, the caregivers, in addition to the elderly, of what are the other services available. A lot of times they think when they hit a certain age, the only option may be a nursing facility. Because when they're home, their primary thing is the medical care. So that's sort of on the front burner of
Yep.
their mind. But there's a lot of facilities, and Elderly and Adult Services has a lot of additional programs.
Gibson Center, North Conway.
Correct.
right, yeah.
There's a lot of other facilities that are out there that are providing these other community-based care services. So, for example, in addition to the medical, there's day treatment programs. So,
Mhm.
residents can, clients can go to a facility during the day for, Zumba,
I'm not
for other
I'm
classes.
not sure we have that here in Carroll County.
And so you have,
No, we do have Zumba.
you have some of those, there's meals programs, Meals on Wheels, and,
Yeah.
there's transportation options for residents. So some, like I said, is re-educating, saying, hey, do we know these other services? Because it is, cost efficient, and sometimes even socially, a better place for someone to be is in their home and in their community, but a lot of times they don't know about the other services that might be available.
My wife's on
and trying that
the board of
balance.
directors of Gibson Center, so she knows
Yeah.
I'm looking at something I have, this
Sure.
dates back to 2006.
Okay.
And I was sitting on the SCOA committee at that time.
Mhm.
And one of the things that was initiated was this services for home-based care, but no money was put into it. Are you saying now that there's more money having been put into that by the state?
Wasn't that done by John Stevens?
Yeah.
Didn't he put more money in?
No, he
Well-
said, no, according to this, after Health Commissioners John Stevens told lawmakers there was a surplus in the department's $192 million nursing home budget, that monies was never put into
Home health care.
home health care.
Oh, home
Made him
health,
look good.
home health care is, and do we want to talk about BIP here?
Yeah, I can just mention a quick thing. Two things. One, I would say is the department is very committed to funding community-based care. So in their biennial budget, each session, there are dollars that are put aside for nursing costs, long-term care, and for that community-based care. So I think that's been definitely under the current commissioner has been a priority of the department. So there has been appropriations that are put aside. The state, actually, Department of Health and Human Services received a new grant We just got notification a few weeks ago from the feds. We're the first state in the country to apply and receive this new grant, and it's called the Balancing Incentive Program. And states are awarded, it's a competitive process. There was money that was put aside in the federal appropriation, federal budget of $3 billion was put aside in the federal budget to be available for states to rebalance their institution long-term care versus their community-based care. And basically an incentive program to maintain, to get to at least a 50-50 split, if not have your community-based grow and your institutional drop below 50%. But most states, the institutional cost is higher than the community-based program. So this grant was to encourage states to rebalance or to at least get it to a 50-50. The state of New Hampshire, and to qualify, you had to be, your institutional had to cost more to qualify for the grant. And we qualified, we were about a 42 to 45% was community versus institutional. And the grant, we just got awarded the grant. Like I said, a few weeks ago, it's an estimate that it would bring in about $26 million to be available. It's over a 4-year period. It goes through September 2014.
Yeah,
14.
or until the money runs
Or,
out.
or until the $3 billion is fully appropriated by the feds. The program went into place this past September 2011, and like I said, we were the first state to apply and the first state to receive the award. It's very kind of new, kind of a hot topic for us. There's 3 primary components that states have to achieve as part of the goal of the program. The first being that you have to institute or put in place what's called a no wrong door system. So people need to be able to come to a kind of a common ground, a common place to say, do I need disability services? Do I need medical? Do I need, for that long-term elderly care environment, what are the services I need? And I don't, part of the program is that I don't go to this door if I need some meals. I'm going to go to this door because I have a behavioral health issue. Oh, I have a disability. I got to go over here and seek some eligibility. Part of the program is it requires the state to adopt a no wrong door entry system. It also requires you to have standardized assessments. So once again, someone isn't filling out the same paperwork 10 times. So that's part of the program. And then also has to have a conflict-free case management component, meaning that you don't want a provider serving as your case manager that's going to have some self-interest in where they send you. So you want to have that separation. And the goal is really, in addition to those avenues, is to make sure that we're building that infrastructure and the capacity in the community to keep those, keep families, keep caregivers, keep the clients where they choose to be, giving them that choice and access. So in terms of funding and appropriations, here's a new program or new grant money that was able to come in to really even push that even further. And that's sort of kind of the hot thing we just got awarded about just a few weeks ago.
What happens at the end of the 3 or 4 years of funding?
2 things. What you're hoping, the goal of it is to build your there's going to be startup costs to building the capacity, building your infrastructure, your IT, whatever other systems, using the money to build that. So, and that shouldn't be occurring in 5 years from now. Hopefully you've done your investment sooner, so your sustainability is going to be okay down the road because you're not having that as an ongoing cost. I think the other cost is not removing people from a nursing setting into the community, but diverting as long as you can before there's really a need to be there. Yeah. And that's really where some of the sustainability takes place.
Yeah, if you don't support that home-based care,
correct,
you're going to have more people getting into the nursing homes.
Correct.
Yeah. And so exactly. So some of the funding we want to work on is the education and training, to not just education to or stakeholders, but to maybe somebody at a service link resource center, so promoting that, or training staff if they come, if someone shows up at the doorstep somewhere, say, hey, do you know you have other options? So like I said, some of that is re-educating and getting that information out there. I think too often, they're waiting until there is no choice. So trying to do that sooner. And what our big goal of the program is not to just fund additional services, new programs with the money. It's to build that long-term sustainability and having that money, that front money or seed money to help do that. So once again, we're not dealing with a
So little of
shortfall.
this money is actually state money. I mean, let's not confuse what these good people are doing, what state government is doing with any sort of state revenue source. Because if you take what we're paid for a Medicaid patient day, $156, and take the $100 a day it costs us for DEAS, because we're being charged close to $4 million, and the $8.66 worth of tax that we're paying on having a nursing home, and then the $33 that the federal government is matching in the payback, the state's really only obligated to $4.65 of this patient day. I'm a little, a lot of times we hear about how state government has to operate and how state government is underfunded and how much of a burden it is for our representatives to govern. But the vast majority of the expense is being paid by the local property taxpayer and out of our collective income taxes paid to the federal government. So little of it. The state shifts money from one place to the other, but as it was pretty well illustrated here, they robbed 25% of the matching funds this last year to put in some state function or another. So I think we need to...
In the general fund.
Yeah. But I think we need to make it clear to our residents that they're paying almost 100% of the cost of Medicaid right out of their property taxes. So it's an interesting mathematical journey that we've gone on here this morning.
Well, I hope this was helpful. I know it's a lot of information all at once. But,
Yeah, it is.
Digestion is difficult.
well, that's why we gave you handouts that you can refer back to. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, yes, thank you very much for your presentation. I know it's been long. It'll take us a while to digest it, but I've heard it before. So I know a little bit about what's going on.
I just don't know how you guys live. Who pays you?
Yes, Mr. Brown?
What determines, or what is the criteria when people move from county to county to determine what county is responsible for them?
Yeah, I don't know.
The criteria would basically be where the person's last permanent address was, which county was their final home that they resided in.
Is that like
Their legal residence.
a
Their
day?
their last,
Is that 30 days? Is it a
it would be,
year?
it would be their last legal
Is it 6
residence.
months?
So, I mean, where they registered to vote, where did
Yeah.
they pay their taxes in, and so on.
So someone could live in Carroll County for one day. So
No,
it's-
I don't believe so. I think there are, I don't know them offhand. The Division of Family Assistance could provide that. There are residency and
6
occupancy
months.
requirements.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying, is it like a 30-day or a year?
I think it's
period?
like 6 months, but
I think
don't
it-
quote me on that.
I think it's 6 months, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So
pretty sure it's
wherever
6 months.
their last
Yes.
domicile is for 6 months,
I believe that, I believe that's the case, as it
Yeah.
says, the Division of Family Assistance that administers that component.
and then from that point on, that county is responsible for the rest of their life.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, all three of you, for coming and sharing the information from the state.
Did you want to keep?
I'm a little clearer on some of it, not fully, but probably need to have you come another 4 or 5 times. But thank you for your time.
Thank you, have a great day.
Thank
You
you.
too. Must be really nice outside.
It's beautiful out there.
We wouldn't know.
Okay, one of the items that we need to look at, may not have to look at it today, to decide today, but we need a policy on clothing allowance, who's going to get it, who's not going to get it. I think we decided on the food situation, what's gonna happen there.
Didn't I just see something about the policy on clothing allowance.
Sure, you want to say something
No,
about it?
didn't I just see something,
Yeah.
some paperwork here? I thought we had,
No, I took it back.
oh. Okay. Oh, yes,
It's a draft right now.
right, okay.
I, after going to Washington DC and listening to the other county commissioners, some of the counties have asked their county attorney to draw up a policy, Mr. Brown, as to how our commission functions. And we will be doing that. I know you had asked several weeks ago about a policy. I didn't realize that counties have them. One interesting point is they don't follow the Robert's Rules of
Order.
how to conduct or order, yeah. They make up their own, so it is possible to do that. As long as you have one that is acceptable to the board, and then we can follow that. So, in the future, we will be asking that when things slow down in the county attorney's office, we'll ask him to draft us up a policy as to how we function as a board of commissioners. So you were right on track.
Is that from the county attorney or the commissioners association, or the county association?
The county attorney is the one that drafted up or proposed the functioning of the Board of Commissioners in other counties. And then the county board accepted it, voted on it, and followed that policy. It has to be, a legal document that we're going to be consistent in and doing. I don't know whether we draft it up to start with, or whether the county attorney does, but
It's the county.
it's something that we will be working on.
So each county attorney individually for that county
County
sets
has
up the
that,
policies
yes.
for that particular county?
That's right. Yep. Do we have anything else to come before our regular meeting?
I thought we had those minutes,
Well,
that we're going to do some corrections. in
yeah, I
minutes.
haven't had an ability to look at them yet.
Oh, so you don't, okay, now we have to table the minutes then.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
So,
So is there anything else? Seeing
yeah, I
none?
had a couple things.
Okay.
Let me see where my papers. Letters. Last week I forgot to ask at a meeting about the letters. A couple employees said they put some letters in the box, in the nursing home box there.
Mhm.
And they saw that a secretary picked them up, and they asked me if I received them. I said no, so I went to ask Lori, and she said she gave the letters to you.
Yep, I've got them,
So I like to know if I also can
Yep.
see the letters.
definitely.
And I had a couple employees asking me a couple questions, so I said I will bring it up. That was
Okay.
from a nursing home. They were not sure if they have an issue when they can come talk to the Board of Commissioners, because she said she has been told that she cannot come to the Board of the Commissioners to talk about any issue. And I thought we had an open policy that if there is an issue, that they can still come and talk with us, maybe non-public personnel. So they want to have clear, like, can they
Okay.
come or not?
The process is they go through their supervisor up, if it's a nursing home, to the director of the nursing home. If they don't get any satisfaction out of that, they go to Robin Reed, the HR person. No satisfaction out of that, they have every right to come to us as a board.
That is what she did, and she was denied. She said she can't come. She went to all these places. Okay, so I can make that clear. The other question was also, she said she is a non-union, and they told her she cannot file a grievance. And I said,
Sure
no,
they
I
can.
think she can.
Sure they can.
Non-union can file a
Yep.
grievance, so, okay.
Yep.
So non-union can file a grievance.
And there's a procedure for a non-union member to